Okay, today we're looking at lesson 4-5 on page 110. Draw a picture and write an equation. This is similar to 4-3 where we drew a picture and wrote an equation for addition and subtraction problems. So we're doing the same thing this time for multiplication and division problems. So we're using those same strips again today to show our problem and then to use to write an equation. Alright, so this problem starts here. Min and her 4 friends had a garage sale to help pay for their choir trip. They divided their total earnings so that each person had $37. How much was the total earnings from the garage sale? Okay, let's look at what do I know, or what do you know? We know that Min and 4 friends had this garage sale and each of them earned $37. And what do they want you to find? The total earnings from the yard sale. So let's look at how they draw a picture here. All right, so T is the total earnings from the yard sale. And again, notice that here are my strips, right? And T is encompassing all of these strips. It's saying T is the total for all of this. That's why it has its little hash marks from one end to the other with this line connecting it. So we know that T, we want to find T total earnings, how much they earned. And we know that there were 5 total. So this is why we have 5 strips lined up. Min and 4 friends, which would be 5, each 37, each made $37. Okay, so you should have something like this on your paper. So they want you to then, what is my equation? Well, I know that T, my total earnings, divided by 5, shown here, divided into 5 little blocks, is equal to 37. So now you need to solve to figure out, well, what is T? Well, again, we have to do this opposite operation. So if we are to get that, remember our goal is to get the variable T all by itself, and if T is being divided by 5, then we must do the opposite, which would be multiplying by 5, so they cancel each other out, leaving just T on the left side. So again, our pan balance is that equal sign. We have to do the same to the right side. So now we have 37 times 5, which gives us $185. So we know that the garage sale raised $185 altogether. Okay, let's look at another example on page 110. How can you translate words into multiplication equations? All right, so here is our problem. And if you need to, pause me, rewind me, listen to it again. Gary collects minerals. His friend Eli has 5 times as many minerals as he does. If Eli has 125 minerals, how many does Gary have? Okay, so let's look at first, what do you know? Well, you know that Eli has 5 times more minerals than Gary, and that he has 125 minerals. The question is, well, how many minerals does Gary have? So they want you to draw a picture to represent this problem here. All right, so they want you to use a picture to represent the problem and write the equation, and they say, well, let X be the minerals that Gary has. So Gary has X number of minerals. We know Eli has 5 times that amount. So they show X, here each block is worth X. We don't know what X is, but each block is worth X. And we have 5 of these blocks. And we know that this total that Eli has of these 5 X's is 125 minerals. Okay, so remember, Gary's has X number of minerals. We don't know what X is, but we do know that Eli has 5 times X, which is why I have 5 x's connected. And we do know that this total, 5 times x, equals 125 minerals. So to write it as an equation over here on the left side, it would be 5x, or 5 times x, equals 125. So what do we need to do? You're always thinking, how can I get x alone if I'm multiplying 5 times x? Well, I have to do the opposite operation. I have to do something that will cancel out that 5 times x. So they go ahead and divide by 5. And again, like I've said, sometimes you'll just see, and you might have seen me do this before, just put it over 5, which means divide by 5, because that would just cancel it out. But they go ahead and they put divide by 5. So we'll leave that there. And that will cancel out the 5 times. And remember, what we do to the left side, we have to do to the right side. So then you have to take 125 and divide it by 5. Now, on the left side, we've got 5 times x divided by 5. So these are canceled out, leaving x alone. And if you figure out what 125 is divided by 5, you know it's 25. So we know that Gary has 25 minerals. 5 times, wait, I think I'm jumping ahead. We want to go ahead and check and solve to make sure that's right. They don't show that in the book, but they tell you to. And number 2, you should always check. So you should write the equation, 5x equals 125, and then plug in, you know, my x, that's 25. So is 5 times 25 going to get me 125? Yes, it sure will, every time. Okay, for your homework, I want you to do 1, 2, and 3 for the guided practice. So on number 1, you're going to draw a picture using the strips like we've done in class, and then write an equation to solve. Okay. Number 2 says, in the example at the top, this would be Min and her 4 friends and the yard sale. How can you use estimation to know if your answer is reasonable? So tell me how that would work. And then again, number 3, in the example at the top of the page, how can you check to make sure the answer is right? So I want to see all of this work and a question tomorrow when you come to class. See you tomorrow.